Good morning, wrestling fans. Today is Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. Lance Brack here on this Tuesday morning. Thank you for tuning in. I know he will never hear this, but to start off this episode, happy birthday to The Rock, the People's Champion, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. And now the 2023 WWE Draft is in the books, unless WWE decides to add another surprise supplemental draft. But I'm pretty sure the one that was on Raw Talk last night after Raw was the last one for that. And to go over the draft once again on this episode of GMWF, I know I talked about last night on 360 Wrestling Fanatic, was this year I wasn't too thrilled with the draft. I said that when I talked about the first night on SmackDown last Friday and then last night on Raw. Maybe it's just me. Maybe everyone else thought the draft this year was great and spectacular. But last night, I mentioned this with the women's titles, the tag team titles, I should say. I didn't really bring it up with the men's tag team titles, but it's pretty much the same though, because with how the women's titles and the men's tag team titles are, or before anyway, were on both shows. But then last night, the women's tag team champions Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez were drafted both to Monday Night Raw, and the same goes for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, the undisputed tag team champions, which before the undisputed tag team champions were just on both shows, but now they were drafted by Raw. I don't know if they're just gonna put them the titles on exclusive to Raw now, or if maybe make separate tag team titles for SmackDown again, which I'm not sure if that's really the best idea. I know WWE does like to come up with more titles sometimes just so they can sell the replicas of those titles on WWE Shop. Or they could just do where Owens and Zayn also do this with Morgan and Rodriguez too, where they are on both shows. They appear on both Raw and SmackDown. But if they are to lose the tag team championships and then after that they go exclusive to Raw, which is something they could do, but who knows. And a good question is, what are they going to do with the NXT talents who have been drafted to Raw and SmackDown? When are they going to have them drop the NXT titles? I think Battleground, the next NXT special or premium live event, I should say, is still a little bit of ways, not too far, but so I'm guessing they might keep them on NXT until they have them lose the titles there, or unless they kind of rush it and have them lose maybe tonight, or maybe just strip them of the titles, which may be the case of NXT Women's Champion Indy Hartwell, who, as seen on SmackDown last Friday when she was drafted, has the walking boot due to the injury. I don't know when she's going to be able to compete again, so I wouldn't be surprised if they strip her of the NXT Championship. Maybe could have a tournament and then have the finals at Battleground, and once she is cleared to compete again, she can make her debut on the main roster. And the Usos, of course, being drafted to SmackDown, but they still kind of teased on commentary about there being trouble with the bloodline. Still not sure what's going to happen there. But if they do introduce a new tag team championship for SmackDown, would think the Usos would definitely be on that short list of tag teams that they would consider putting the titles on. Of course, the last couple years have been the top tag team in all of WWE as the undisputed tag team champions up until WrestleMania, when they lost the titles to Owens and Zayn, who are now on Raw. And looks like that feud between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn with the Bloodline is over, at least for now anyway. But I've talked about this in the past on the podcast, and you never know. WWE, when they do drafts like this, for at least a couple months or so, usually they keep the brands separate. Raw and SmackDown talent on their respected shows, but then they eventually come up with this idea, like the wild card or the superstar exchange, I believe they called it at one time, or talent exchange, whatever they called it, where talent could appear on both shows. They always, sometimes they want the brands to be separate, completely different shows, and then sometimes they don't. I've even seen the other day some speculation about them bringing back the separate premium live events, Raw and SmackDown having their own for the B shows anyway. And then, like it was at one time, Raw and SmackDown had their own pay-per-views, and then the big ones, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series had their joint productions between the two brands. And one, I'm sure, if they do split them up, I would think Money in the Bank would have two Raw and SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder matches like they have done in the past. But the only question is, now that they have started doing the women's Money in the Bank, will you have 4, which I hope not. Even I think that would be a little too much. And unless Raw gets the men's Money in the Bank, and then SmackDown gets the women's, or the other way around. They could do that, but Money in the Bank is, I believe, is it June or July when it's in London? I can't think of it right now at the top of my head, but it's either, I think, June or July this year, once again in London at the O2 Arena. And speaking of London, to kind of sidetrack from WWE, this Thursday, the AEW All In London tickets go on sale, and hopefully things will go good on the first day. I know they are expecting good sales to start with. I understand people who have purchased from Shop AEW and subscribe to AEW Plus internationally will get a unique pre-sale code for the tickets, or actually they may have already got them. So that's all for this Tuesday morning episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. Thank you everyone for tuning in right here on Spreaker or wherever you are listening to this podcast right now. Hope everyone has a great Tuesday today. Hope everyone enjoys NXT tonight. And I'll talk to everyone tomorrow for the Wednesday episode. Until then, keep watching pro wrestling.